Hi everyone, Rich Crescenti here with another in our series of videos making music with Melodyne, and today what we're going to be focusing on are time handles. Now these are very powerful and flexible tools to adjust the timing of vocals, bass, guitars, drums, whatever it is you want to change the timing of. Now if you'll look at the screen right here, we've used the timing tool before, and if you right click and get your context menu, this is our timing tool, it allows us to adjust the beginnings and ends of phrases. But what about when in the middle of a phrase doesn't match? And this is where the time handles become very useful, not only for stretching and adjusting portions of your audio, but also for making sure that certain portions of that audio maintain and are not stretched at all. Now, the time handle tools are not available in Melodyne Essential, but they are available in Melodyne Assistant and Editor and Studio. Okay. So let's take a look at this, right? This is a lead vocal that we've got today. I've got a lead vocal and a double, and we're going to adjust these so that the timing on them is tight. What we're looking for is significant portions where the timing doesn't line up, and we're going to fix that. So first things first, since we're going to be making minute adjustments, I want to come over here to my timing grid and turn that grid off, right? I don't want things to be stuck to a grid settings because we're making minute changes. Second, these vertical lines that you see, right now they're set to a quarter note, are really useful for judging and aligning timing visually. So instead of sticking to a quarter note, I'm going to come over here and switch to a higher number. I'm going to switch to a 30-second note. Gives us way more control and a better visual aspect to align from. All right. So as I mentioned before, this is a lead vocal and a double. Let's just give this a listen and see how it sounds.
Fill the void with imagination. How far can you go?
Okay, and as you can hear, she did a pretty good job of matching herself, both note-wise and timing-wise, but we want to go in and make this really tight. And the first thing I want to point out, since this is a lead vocal and a double, you'll notice these tracks are in unison right here, right? Every single one of these is the same note. And that can make it kind of hard to edit. So if you find yourself in that situation, there's a button on the lower right-hand corner. It's this button right over here. It's called Spread Unison Tracks. Very useful. When you press this, watch what happens. You'll notice one of the tracks raised up. This did not change the pitch. It's just a visual change to make editing unison tracks easier. When you turn it off, the notes go back to where they were. So if something doesn't look right, if you're hearing the notes are wrong, make sure that that's not selected if you don't want it. In this case, I want that. I want these notes spread apart to make the timing easier. And let's jump into this first phrase right here and take a look. And right out of the gate, we come to a very valuable point. Let's hear this first beginning of the phrase.
Fill the void.
Okay, it's fill the void. So right out of the gate, we've got a strong consonant with an F right there. And we see these are not the same length. This is one of the areas where I think Melodyne has a lot of power and why I really like using Melodyne for this. Sometimes we get people asking about just having an automatic setting to make one thing match another. But in reality, rarely do I find myself having one perfect vocal and trying to make everything else match it, right? Rarely do I have just one perfect guide and everything else has to be dubbed to match that. In reality, most of the time what I get are a bunch of vocals and I have to choose. And oftentimes phrase A from this vocal is the right one and phrase B from this vocal is the right one. So instead of having one perfect and everything else to match it, I can now go through and on each word, on each phrase, I can choose the timing and performance that I want to match. Okay, cool. So another key piece of information that I think you'll find helpful when editing timing, the smartest thing to do is get the end right and the beginning right, and then go in and make any adjustments in the middle. So let's do that right now. Okay, these fill the void. These don't match right here. So I'm going to get the ends and beginnings right. I'm going to use my timing tool and come over here and stretch this one out to here. So they both start in the same place. And I want to come over here and make sure that they end in the same place as well. Like so. Let's zoom in a little closer here. But now what we've got are two different lengths. The sibilant portion, the F, is a different length than the pitched portion. Now in this case, I could go either way. I want that F sound to be the shorter one. And this is where the time handles become useful. Let's right click, Come over here to our time handle, and I'm going to drop in a time handle right here, because what I want to do is stretch this pitch portion and shrink this sibilant portion right here. So here we go. Drop in a time handle right there, and you can see it makes a little dot like that right there. When the blob is not highlighted, it looks like that. Let's just check that here, and I'm going to pull this over so that that timing matches just like so. Now we see the beginnings match pretty well. The ends match really well. These swings up and down are pretty close, but if you want to make those a little bit tighter, you can. I can come over here to my timing tool. I don't want, where this swings down, I want to leave it alone, right? So I'm going to put a time handle right there, but I want this swing up portion to be a little bit longer to match this one. So I'm going to put another time handle right here and stretch that out a little bit right there. And now what we get is a more similar swing up in note right there. Same thing on this next one right over here. We see this note swings up, but the timing is a little different. Now, you don't have to go in and squeeze the life out of this performance. This isn't about the right or wrong way to do it. There is no gatekeeping here about what is good music and what doesn't work. These are tools to help you, and I want you to understand how to use them to get the sound that you want. So I could stretch this portion out right here, like so, and just stretch that out like that. And maybe with this one, I will stretch it in a little bit like so. And this is a more similar performance there as well. Okay. Now this third one right here is interesting, right? Because here we've got the beginning of the phrase is perfect. They match each other really, really well, but the ends swing down differently. And the end phrase right here is a little bit differently. Let's see what this sounds like. I want to hear it and just listen. We get
Fill the void.
Okay. So do I want to go with the shorter one or the longer one? The word ends with void. So to me, I want to leave a little bit of a longer space after that word right there. That's just a thought that occurs to me from a production point of view. All right. So I'll come to my timing tool and I'll make the end of this phrase match the end of this one. Now the timing of that end's the same, but you'll notice now what we've got are the sibilant portions are not the same. And if we really zoom in and take a look right there, you'll notice that the sibilant portion on this one swings down and then swings up a little bit right there. We call this kind of the shoulder of the note, right? The shoulder of the note right there. And I want that to match this portion right here. It's not as much the timing of the vertical lines that shows sibilant information. It's that this is most likely, this is the D at the end of the word void. I want them to be the same. If there's a hard consonant at the end, a D or even a T or a P or anything like that, you want those to hit at the same time, especially in a vocal like this one right here. I've got them panned hard left and hard right to get this cool width effect. If they were both panned up the middle, I could easily just come over here to my sibilant balance tool and just drop the sibilant completely out of one. But in a case like this where they're panned hard left and right, that won't work. So I need those sibilants to be the same. So again, we see time handles to the rescue. Let's right click and choose our time handle tool and put that right at the shoulder and stretch that out so that the shoulder of one matches the other. Now that D is exactly the same everywhere else, but we've still got the point where the line swings down at a different place. So what I like to use right here, and I think this will help you, is what I call sort of the zero crossing, right? I look for points where the pitch line either crosses the center line or crosses the bottom of the pitch line. On this top vocal right here, I see that, and should be an E flat, so I see that this line comes down and it crosses the pitch line right there. On this vocal, I see it crosses right there. So what I want to do, right, or I might actually, looking at this, I think I might use the middle line. Where this crosses that middle line, right where it starts to pull away from it, is right about here on this other one. So I'll put a time handle in right there, but I don't want to lose this performance before that. This is already perfect. I don't want to stretch that out. So I'm going to see how close I can put a time handle to this one. Can I put one there? Not quite. There is a minimum amount of time required for a time handle. I can drop one right there. Okay, so we stretch this out now like so. And now we've got the swing down the way that we want it, But again, we did stretch out the end right there. That's not a problem. I'll just put a time handle between the pitched portion and the sibilant portion and stretch that back out like so. And now what we get when we turn unison off is a much more similar performance right there. I might just stretch this out a little further like so. And now they track with each other almost perfectly. Great. This is going to sound really nice. Let's give this phrase a listen so far.
Fill the void.
Perfect. I like the way that's turning out. So let's just do the rest of these real quick right here, right? I'm going to tighten up the timing on the beginning of this phrase. And same thing, like I said, it's important to get the beginning and the end right before you do anything in the middle. You can decide, like I said before, how tight you want to get this, how loose you want to leave it. It's entirely up to you. There is no right or wrong way. There's just what works for you. Move that one over just a little bit right there. These ones match decently well. Now, in this case, we've got a portion right here. This is an interesting one because if you look, the notes are a little different as they swing down through right here. For me, personally, I don't mind that as much. I feel like changes in pitch and minor variations like that give a cool chorusing effect to doubled vocals, but timing that's off just sounds sloppy. So I want to get the timing and swing sort of right and worry less about the pitch. In this particular case, I could come to my timing tool and try and get these vocals to match up this way. Now the swings match, but that timing doesn't look right to me. So instead, I'm going to undo that. And what instead I'll do is the same idea. I'll come over here to my time handle tool, drop one in right there. Excuse me, not right there. I'm going to drop one in right there and pull that over like so. And then I'll come to this one. And now we've got this on top. I'll pull that timing handle right there and move it like so. And now what we've got is a more closely related performance. Same thing here, right? I can pull this one here and move that over. I'll come to my timing tool here and move this one over. These track pretty closely. These are all tracking pretty close. Let's change the timing of this right here. These are tracking pretty close. Here we've got a small change in the sibilant nature of that, so I'm just going to stretch it out so that it matches. These track fairly closely as well. I'll probably try and change the timing of this right here. Now, this is, let's see, I like those. I'm going to come over here and just real quick adjust these so that they match one another. Same idea, get the end right and then come over here and adjust the timing in the middle. Generally what I'll do is I'll just switch back and forth between my timing tool at the beginning and at the end and make any adjustments that I need to, just like so. Okay, get my timing tool in there. Let's stretch that out for there. These are matching nicely. I just want to adjust my lead vocal like so. I've made this one, I've done this one a few times here. This is kind of what I was talking about with not going back over your work, avoiding redundancy. There is a little bit of a push and pull sometimes to figure out what's going to be the best performance. These are all matching pretty closely. I like these. Let's adjust the timing here like so. Maybe I'll put a little timing tool in here and stretch that out to match there. And now we come to the end of the phrase. And I'm going to do something a little different right here, right? What I want is, because this is the end of the phrase, this vocal has been doubled the whole way through, but I think it would be really cool to have it tight all the way through. And then at the end, have that vibrato be alternate or opposite. It'll just give a little bit of emphasis to the end of that word right there. So I'll make the end match. I've got the beginning of the phrase match. Now I'm going to start dropping in time handles and stretching it the way that I want. We'll stretch this one out so that the pitch portion ends at the same time, but I want them vibrating in opposites. So I'll put this guy here and squeeze that up like that. I'll put that's like that. This one goes here. This one goes here. And now what we get is them doing vibrato, but in opposite directions on either side. Great. I think this will sound pretty cool right now. I like the way that this is looking. Let's bypass this with all of my Melodyne. Let's just bypass it and hear it.
Fill the void with imagination. How far can you go?
Okay, and now let's hear it with Melodyne in place.
Fill the void with imagination. How far can you go?
So much improvement right there. That's great. Okay. Now, one more quick thing that I want to talk about, which I think is really important, is that this isn't always just for tightening up vocal doubles and harmonies and things like that. This is oftentimes for adjusting an individual performance. So let's jump to a different portion of a song right here. Let's take a look at this phrase right here on the chorus where she sings, "I'm all over you."
I'm all over you. I'm all over you.
Okay, now she swings up fairly slowly right there, and that's cool, but I want it to be a little more punctuated, especially on an important delivery like the chorus right here. So I'm going to make that note swing up a little bit faster. Same idea, right? I'll come to my timing handle tool, and right about the point where the note starts to swing up, I'm just going to drop that in and then drag that over to the right. And now what we get is,
I'm all over you.
I like that, right? Swings right up to the note really quick right there. Still sounds natural. Very great for changing the performance. If I wanted to, right, we could push this a little bit further. I could actually put this time handle tool before this little vibrato right here, as early as you can in the word, like so, and drag that all the way over. And now let's listen.
I'm all over you.
You know that sound, don't you, right? You've heard that before. That's what people call the auto-tune effect. And it's really cool, and it's right for some performances and for some genres. So why use two pieces of software? You can do it all with one. I hope you've enjoyed this today. I hope you've learned how time handles can help you out a lot. Have a good day.